Alright, a very good morning. You are watching Westnile television. This is the KOKOLIRIKO live show in the morning that comes every morning from Monday to Fridays from 7 a.m. up to 9 a.m. So we have a lot that we unpack in this show that is concerning the issues that happen within the region and also outside this country. There are a lot of things that we'll be also diving into. Remember, there is a very sad news that is happening here that we have actually had and also really broadcasted for you last evening during the Nilecast hour. That is the demise of the Vice President UPC, that is Caleb Titia Kamure, who is also one of the persons who was nominated to be the best farmer of the year 2017 by a university from America. And also there are a lot of issues that we'll be diving into. First of all, talk about the issues of the implementation of fiscal plan by local governments and also the country itself generally, but also what are the limitations around this. There are a list of ministries that have underperformed that has also been released, and we'll be able to move into some of those. Remember, the Hoima by-election has been won by the NRM candidate, the son to the former LC5 who won last evening, and this has been declared, and that is one thing we'll be also unveiling. Another shocking story is the sacking of Uganda's head coach, that is Micho. This morning we're also going to unpack some of those things. Maybe let me welcome my colleague, that is Faris Majid, to the show. Faris.
Yes, Frederick.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.
Are you okay?
I'm okay, Frederick.
And
it was quite a long week. I was not here yesterday, and the other day we were not here, but it feels great being back, I believe.
Yeah, true. There were a lot of surprises. Yes, by the way, I decided to roll the show up to from 7.
Yeah,
that is to give a lot of time for our viewers to be able to interact with us. If they have comments, if they have a lot of things, we'll be able to fix them around those hours, and also have them really get adequate information from Westnile television. That's why I took this requested from management to ensure that we go to start the show from 7 exact, and that's what we are now trying to enforce.
Yes, this is quite interesting, because if you realize that we were running out of time, and I believe this is to the benefit of the viewer out there, because what we broadcast here, what we talk about here, and some of the issues we talk from within the nation in one way or the other must be affecting or attacking you directly. So I think you have a connection, and the issues we also discuss beyond are issues that I believe the viewer must be in the know of. So I think that taking it back to 7, it's a great initiative, and I really welcome it, because at the end of the day, it is to the benefit of the viewer out there who is watching Westnile television, and we want to commit ourselves. We are going to be giving out what you expect us to be doing. So I think from me, Frederick, taking it back to 7, I believe it's the best, and it will also be the best to the viewer too.
Okay, so for you who is watching, you should be able to appreciate this from 7 to 9 a.m. kind of discussion that we'll be having. One of the ways you'll be able to appreciate this is by going to the inbox, through the YouTube channels. You should be able to type to us or text to us whatever you think we should be doing, and also what are the things that are outside there that you feel like we should discuss in this show. And also beyond that, there are some issues that affect the communities that we're always here talking about. If you want us to re-emphasize them, and also you have any clue of what is happening exactly on ground, you should be able to also update us. And this is the show that unpacks those kind of discussions to really ensure that we gear towards the socio-economic transformation, making sure that everyone grow together, not really in a segregative manner. Let the poor capture with the rich. That is what we're breaking for you now here. Baby Faris,
yes.
Starting from Arua City, there are a lot of flowers that we have on the streets. I mean, the street vendors have continued to pour on these roads, and there are a number of issues that are coming around this. We have the issues to do with food safety. We have the issues to do with the lives of the people who are also dealing in these things, and also talk about the hygiene around these areas. Beyond that is the issue of sewage lines and also the waterways that we have. These are being filled by these people who sell on the streets. Most of them sit by the roadsides, on the pavements, and so on. And most of these people who sit along these roads, you realize that they sell food stuff, they sell clothes, and so on. And what they sell, the waste is all poured around the waterways. So this blocks the movement of water, and also the council loses a lot of money through this.
Yes,
maybe Faris, what do you think should be done?
We are talking about the council losing, but at times we also see the council contributing. Frederick, this is a region where we are seeing sometimes the politicians ruin everything. Frederick, Arua City is one of the towns that is still leading in terms of street vending, and you can really tell how disorganized the city is. Frederick, if you move to the market, there are still spaces up there. But when you move to the streets, you will realize that street vending is still very much being done. I don't know why, but at times, usually people come up with campaigns that do not take long. And after a short period of time, people abandon, and the street vendors come back to their streets because at the end of the day, they have to survive. And why is this a challenge? Sometimes these people want to put the street vendors off. Maybe having the right minds, but when they come to implementation, this is where the challenge is, Frederick, I'm telling you. Why am I saying is it a challenge? Some politicians will pass behind and also start stopping this people, sabotaging the process of moving the vendors out of the streets, which to me is really shocking, and it's very bad, because at the end of the day, we need to maintain a clean city. Remember, when the issue of street vendors, Frederick, it's really one issue that is at times whereby you also don't have to blame the politicians, whereby you don't have to blame the technocrats, because it is very complex. If you move to the central region, more so in Kampala, Frederick, you can tell how the city authorities have been suffering with the street vendors. You remember when Jennifer Musisi was still in charge of KCA? She tried her best to move the street vendors out of Kampala City, but she was always having challenge from the other politicians who claim to be defending the rights of the street vendors. At the end of the day, really, Frederick, you will see that if the technocrats and the political wing do not work together, really it will impact greatly in terms of service delivery. It will really cost the cities. So I think I want to implore the city authorities and the politicians. These are whom am I meaning, the city authorities, the technocrats and the politicians need to come up on board and work together. Secondly, Frederick, we do not have a clear system like KCC and Kampala. We do not have it in Arua here. We have Arua City Council, which is doing everything at the moment, but we do not have that body that is supposed to be undertaking the affairs of the city. Just like KCC, we do not have that impact of it working together in Arua City still. And we expect really this board to come up with the guidelines and have ways of maybe dealing with the issues of the street vending. Why am I saying this? The market is still empty, Frederick. Just like I said, you can take your time and move upstairs of the market. You realize that there are still stalls that are not being taken up, despite people having challenges, people having complaints of other people taking so many stalls. But we still have that component of people not embracing the market still, because street vending is still very much key, because at the end of the day, these are the ordinary people who are looking for survival. These are the women who are vulnerable, who at times also have to, with whom you have to sympathize, because they really have to put something to the table, and that is why they're always going the streets. So moving them off without alternatives at times also really brings more pain to them, because it renders them jobless, which really also contributes to their suffering. So I think at times it is also very much paramount that if these people are supposed to move these street vendors out of where they are, they need to have other alternative means for these people to survive. Because if you are looking in Kampala, they are having proposals which up to now have not been implemented, to have a place that degazetted for these street vendors where they are going to be, where instead of just loitering in the streets, in taxi parks, in Arua here, we have one of the common streets where you see street vending is the Hospital Road. This is quite common, and the Avenue Road, you realize that there are a lot of street vending is going on here. So I think these people needed to come up with the policies and address this issue, because if it is not addressed, Frederick, we are bound to be seeing these issues, and the street vending will still continue to rise despite the challenges. It will continue to grow in Arua City, and which will not be good, because this is a city now. We need to ensure that there's organization, some bit of organization within the city, and we cannot be in a city where there's street vending, where street vending is still very much key. And where are we going? Why is street vending a challenge? You talked about why is street vending a challenge? Because people come with their challenges. After selling their property, sometimes they dump the rubbish there, which litters the city, which really makes the city become dirty, because at the end of the day, there are no means that these people will have to ensure that they keep the city clean. And how is that a challenge? That is a challenge in one way, that it will contribute to the mess of garbage that we still have in this city here. Secondly, street vending, first of all, puts these people, first of all, there is a lot of money that we lose to these people who are street vendors, because there is no way you are going to be taxing them. There are no proper means of getting taxes out of them. Maybe in terms whereby some people, these people collect small money. These people who take tenders of collecting the little money, the market fees, because at times they have also realized that they pick money from the street vendors, which to me is not right, because these people have to go and just pick money from the markets rather than just picking money from these street vendors, because at the end of the day, this will promote street vending. Frederick, if you have to look, I want you to take your time to move within that street of that slopes to Diofe in the evenings. You will really realize that there's a lot of mess there. These people have turned the streets into markets, which is not good. What is happening in the markets now? Because there you will realize that there's a lot of products that are being sold. Talking about products, we have clothes, we have shoes that people deal in, and really it makes the city look disorganized. And I believe if there could be something done on this, it will really impact greatly on the city. Because if this challenge is not addressed, you talked about a lot of things. First of all, the issue of people selling flowers. Frederick, flowers.
The flowers I was meaning were the people who are seated.
Yes, these are the people now. You talked about the flowers. Yes, we cannot deal away with them, because this is one issue that is really very much complex in the whole country.
Actually, that is what is attracting the people is the failure by the city council to enforce some of these laws.
Proper means to enforce on these laws.
And also, this has been also frustrated by the city authority by also collecting these money from these people.
Yes, that is
so if you are collecting money from them, that means you have permitted them to operate in those places. Yes. So that is one thing we need to look into if we want to really avert this. I remember at some point the Central Division took charge of what was happening around the hospital gate. They were able to write a lot of messages and also chase away some of these vendors. And up to now, I can see that the cases are minimal as of now. Talk about around the hospital gate. But if you move to some of these other places, talk about the Diofe Road, talk about the stretch of Hospital Road, the Avenue Road, and also the Duka Lane. Those are the areas where you find a lot of vendors pouring on the streets. But also, if you move to the main market, people are not in the market; they are all out. Where they are supposed to park vehicles, that is where human beings are selling things. So that is one thing we really need to stress further to look into. There's no one who will come from far to come and organize this city. It rains back onto the Central Division authorities to really do this, because the revenue mobilization and generation is generally from the Central Division or the IV Division. It is not the city council, the mother city council, to do that. It is the mandate of the Central Division. Also, in terms of waste management, it is these divisions that are responsible. So that is one thing that we are seeing is going really to mess us so long if we cannot really talk about it, if we cannot really devise means around these kind of things. It looks awkward and also makes the town look dirty. Yet at some point we are doing cleanliness every morning. This cannot be realized because people also come after the sweepings, the cleanings. They pour a lot of garbage or rubbish around these lines. That is one thing we need to really look into if we want to develop further and also go back to the best town in Africa that we were mentioned in 2018.
The challenge
so,
is,
yes.
The challenge we have with this issue of dealing with this street vending, to me, is just the issue of people failing to realize what is right. Frederick, if you are doing something that is right, regardless of what people think, trust me, really, you will not mind, and your impact will be felt later. Remember, some time back, we were recognized as one of the cleanest cities. And today,
do you know why that was?
Yes, because that leadership worked together. I believe that leadership of that time worked together. To
yes, it was the then mayor of Arua municipality, that was Charles Yasiki,
yes,
who took to the streets, went with his team, and they vacated all the kiosks in the town.
Yes,
and that made the town to look at least better. In terms of garbage management, in terms of waste, in terms of organization, everything was so superb. That is why I was saying. So that's why this was happening. And
that is why I was saying.
Does it mean the current mayor or the leadership of the city cannot do this. Why is it that they have failed to really do this kind of things? Other than really talking a lot of politics here and there, frustrating the efforts of the technocrats. Let the political wing also take it to their self that it starts from them, who are the immediate mobilizers of this community who are trading here in the town. Because there's no way you can tell me it is the technocrats to go and mobilize the people to move away. It is supposed to be the politicians to send the message before the enforcement is done by the technocrats. So if the politicians are siding with the people, that is the challenge that we have.
To some extent, politics has changed. We cannot blame the politicians, because at the end of the day, if you are going to do this, these are the voters you're pushing away. Really, it becomes awkward, it becomes shocking.
And that's the problem. If we think about our voters, and if we chase them, we will not come back in 2026.
Yes, they will not come back, definitely. Even if somebody just spreads rumors that you are pushing them out, even if it is not true, if this allegation comes out, Frederick, trust me, it will cost you. So I think it is really very difficult for you to blame the politicians at some extent, because really it becomes difficult for you to blame them. Why am I saying this? They have to protect their votes, because these are their voters.
Farish, why I'm blaming the politicians? One, they are policymakers, first of all. Okay, they are policymakers in the council. What do they discuss? Okay, what do they discuss? Looking at the essence, okay, the challenges that are seen. Talk about the garbage that is accumulating. You are every time allocating money to collect garbage from undesignated places. Then you have these people who don't want to enter the market. Okay, we're losing money from the market, yet we have service providers in the market. Do you remember that at some point power went off? Okay, for close to 1 month. Why was this? Because people did not pay money. And how would you pay the service provider? So I think these are the things that we want to solve. If you are saying the politicians should go and say these are my voters, they should continue, we are going wrong.
What I'm thinking is this way. Frederick, you know politics of this nation. Frederick, we should not talk like we would not understand the politics. This is, you know, the politics of this nation. You know it, how it is running today. What we can maybe do is that let the politicians be behind the doors. Let them come with the policies. When it comes to implementation, we hire technocrats.
So they should hire
that. Yes, definitely. They need to come up with the technocrats need to come up and do the implementation, because it is clear now that the politicians cannot implement this. Why don't we then embrace other technocrats to be given this job of enforcing? Because who will be there will not mind of these are my voters, who will be tasked to deliver, who will be at the responsibility of delivering, whom we shall pay to, because at the end of the day it will be taxpayers' money to pay for them. So we shall be expecting a lot from them, and if we could really employ technocrats to be in charge of this.
First, I want to give you one example with the Member of Parliament for Badegela IB Division. This man took charge of what was happening in the forest. Remember the issues of deforestation and so on. He decided to move and attack all these encroachers himself. And these were voters. And he's still in the parliament. By then he was the LC5. Now he has gone to the parliament. Do you think people there did not think that he was working against their deals?
Those are different times, because the time, Frederick, let's understand. Because, Frederick, by the way, so right now people have so many campaigns against deforestation. It is understandable now. Those people who are there would really understand, because at times these people also understand what they are doing is not right. Do you want to tell me that street vendors do not understand what they are doing is illegal? They know, but they are forced to do it. So I think if we also come out clearly,
they are forced to do it, but we have not told them what to do.
We have not given them those
because they have seen that they are able to interact with the buyers easily when they are on the streets. That's one thing they feel it is easier. But now you, as the person who knows about the implication of these people dealing on the streets, can't you really take any action to tell them, please move to the main market?
The main market.
And even if the main market is full, we have these other markets that are idle.
The challenge is that
they are still
the market cannot accommodate all of them. That is what one challenge these street vendors will always face.
Now talk about the 756 lockups that are empty. How many people have gone there?
So not so many have gone.
You see? Because so now you're saying they are not enough.
The challenge that these people have always raised, Frederick, if you have interacted with the street vendors, they will tell you we do not have spaces in the market. Which, and that goes back to the allocation process of it all. Maybe there could be something wrong there. And we needed to also embrace let's encourage the Frederick, you know, upstairs usually have challenges. Most of the buildings that have how do you call them, storage buildings have that challenge of upstairs, because people still have that mindset of not wanting to climb upstairs, and that is the challenge. That is why maybe people are still sabotaging the market, because there are no clients coming up, because these people in the markets have also raised that challenge. The street vendors are posing a lot of threats to them. They are losing their customers. They are losing market money because of street vendors. Why? Because for them they're up, and people find it very difficult for them for people to climb up.
So it is the mandate of the city council to deal away with this street venting.
Yes, a lot.
To ensure that people go to the main market.
Yes.
Okay. As we go for a break, I know the vibe for Friday is always like that, and we want to really tell you that the discussions will be vibrant like this up to the end, and we want to really bring all those issues that are happening in these local governments, and also a few of them that will be able to support, that are of public interest, and we'll be able to also break them here. As we go to the for a break, let's put in mind that we should take service delivery beyond politics. Okay, service delivery should be beyond politics. If we don't have revenue collected and we have street venting that is continuing, that is one thing we will always mess up, and we will not be able to pay these councillors that are said to be the sole breadwinners of these street vendors. Okay, because if they feel like these people should not vacate the streets, they become the breadwinners. They are the sole candidates who fight for them. That is one thing we need to kill off. That mentality should be killed off if we want to get first of all, the allowances for the councillors, if we want to get water system on, if we want to see electricity, if we want to see all these other social amenities that we want to be providing in this town. But also talk about the sewage, the sewage lines, the transport system, talk about the garbage management. These are facilitated by revenue that is local generated, local collected, local managed. So if these are not done, we will continue to have those problems. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be diving into so many other issues that are happening in the country and also within this continent, Africa. Thank you.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region. Inside technology. New TV innovation with an inbuilt decoder that connects you to both StarTimes antenna and satellite signal. With StarTimes inside Global Star TV, you can enjoy over 300 local and international channels, 1 month StarTimes highest bouquet for free, automatic system update, more benefits, more affordable. StarTimes inside Global Star TV is available in all StarTimes branches and dealers countrywide. StarTimes Inside, entertainment inbuilt. Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that commercial break. We are discussing a lot of issues to do with the disorganization in Arua City Medi Town. That is the central business district. That is general central division, where a lot of business transactions take place, zeroing it down to the impacts of street venting and really what needed to be done. That was what we were really so much discussing. Let's move away from this and talk about the elections or the politics that is currently in the country. Before we move to the positive side, let's discuss this sad news about the demise of the Vice President, Uganda People's Congress, that led Uganda into independence in 1962. Remember, this party was formed in 1960, just 2 years to the independence that we gained from the British or the colonialists. We have this politician who really did a lot in Westnile region and also the country at large. He has named himself to be a politician and a veteran and a historical farmer in this region, and has had impact in every discussion that has been happening in this region. That is Caleb Titi Yakamure, who died yesterday at around midday at Arua Regional Referral Hospital for yet to be identified sickness that has not been disclosed. By press time at around 3, the body was still at the hospital mortuary, and we have not gotten more updates about how far has gone in terms of preparing the body and also the programs for the burial. And if you talk about Titi Kamure, this is one person who donated 200 acres of land to settle refugees in Yotsea refugee settlement, that is in Terego district, and he was named the Farmer of the Year for that hospitality that he did by donating land from his farmer. Remember, his father had 35 wives, and he happens to be the 5th wife's son, and he has done a lot in this country by really making a name to consistently remain in the UPC party. Remember, he led a delegation to reconcile the feuding factions around UPC in 2020 when he actually opted, he threatened to contest as an independent candidate because of the feuding matters around UPC that was involving Jimmy Akena, who was by then the party chairperson and also the president standing in by then. And also, if you talk about Titi Kamure, he made sure that there was a reconciliation and also there was peace that were preached, and eventually they pardoned Akena for that. And one of the issues that they were fronting was Akena's sister being married to the first families, and also the issues of giving away some of the buildings of UPC to government. That was one thing that really made these kind of factions to come out from the UPC by then. And also, if you look at Titi Kamure, he also contested in different elections. The most recent was in 2021 when he contested with the current LC5 of Terego district, that is Wilfred Saka, when he contested on a UPC ticket, garnering 1,000 plus votes on UPC ticket. Remember, this is one person who has continued to mobilize for those spillovers of supporters who remained intact to UPC by then. And his friend Yiatia from Maracha was really one of the instrumental persons who stood with him throughout these elections. And I remember Titi Kamure really did a lot in spearheading some of the petitions in Western region. The most recent that we can also remember is the petition against National Forest Authority that is in Arua over the issues of the giveaway of Arua Central Forest Reserve, that is Barifa, to the private persons for ecotourism development, talking about the giveaway of close to 10 acres of land to the Honorable Member of Parliament for Maracha County, that is Oguzuli Dennis. And this petition really took a lot of time, like for 6 months, that really a lot of discussions ran throughout about this kind of thing. Maybe Faris, what little do you know about Titia Kamure, whom we have lost as a pillar of championing activism in the environmental sector, but also being a hostile person, a person who has that humility, thinking about other human beings by giving a lot of land. That's 200 acres. Looking at that, if you talk about land, people talk about asset, people talk about life, they're referring to land, and these are the things. Remember, he's a farmer who has done a lot of things. He has been known here in a rural city for really bringing huge number of tomatoes, local produced here, and also talk about watermelon. The watermelon that you always get from Terego in huge numbers is got from TT's farm, and that is one thing he has been remembered of. Maybe what are of the things that you could really talk about?
First and foremost, I must say the nation and the entire region is mourning one person who stood firm to the grounds and never changed. And this is a person who never exhibited double standards. Frederick, why am I saying this? You know, during the time when politics has kept on changing and people have also been changing, he stood firm with UPC. And why am I saying this? That is why I say this is a person who never witnessed and exhibited issues of double standards, and he stood firm to UPC, and he was one honest person. How did I get to know about this man? I got to know this man way back in 2006 when I was still a young boy, very young. That's when I got to know him, and when I started interacting with him during the campaigns, that was around 2011. This is when I got to know him when he was aspiring, I think, as MP, and I got to meet him. And besides politics, I've really known him as a farmer, just like how you said it. You know, he had something, processing plant, a small processing plant, a mini processing plant around our city, just around, I think also around there, he had something there. And so many tractors were parked there, and as children, when we used to pass there, we used to see these things, we used to see that thing, and for us, we didn't know what a factory was. And for us, we used to take it as a factory, and it was really one plant that was big, and so you could see so many tractors parked there, so many things parked there. And that was really one instrumental thing that he did when it comes to promotion of agriculture and farming in this region. So I think he has done his part when it comes to agriculture, besides politics, because Frederick, you know, politics needs to move up in so many things. And just like you said, you talked about several of his contributions. I believe they are actually beyond. For a person of that caliber, and that is when I got to know him and to interact with him a little. I didn't have any time of interacting with him very much. But from his rallies I attended, because Frederick attended all the most of the post rallies in this region. People have stood, because I can start mentioning for you politicians who have stood from way back in 2006. I can mention them to you, who have lost, and those who have made it through, and those who have not made it through, because giving time to listen to them was very much paramount to me, because I'm a follower of politics. I've really wanted to understand the politics of this region. So I think getting to know Titia Kamure, he's really a person who is humble. You actually remember the last time with him, he's a down-to-earth person. The last meeting you had and you attended, and that was, I think that was the last time he came out in public. Just recently, I think you attended that, you saw how we came. And he drove the people crazy, depending on, basing on the attire he came out with.
He
so
came with his gumboots, and was like,
so I think
he's from his farm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and this was a very big meeting, involving MPs and also people from the ministry. He came and was like, okay, I'm from my farm, but because I felt this discussion was touching me, and also people that I feel this is going to affect them, I feel like I should just join you in this
kind of humility. Is just that shows that what kind of person he is. He was down to earth. He's somebody who was down to earth and really minded of people's affairs, and that is why he could not skip the meeting. And I think that was the last time he actually came out in public, if I'm not mistaken, to clearly interact with the people. And I believe you had the chance of meeting him for the last time. And we as the nation, we are going to pray for his soul to rest in eternal peace, because he has contributed. And if you talk about UPC in this region, one person that you always run to is Titia Kamure. Most of the people in Arua City, you will never skip Titia Kamure's name in your mouth if you talk about UPC as a political party in this region. And most of the elections, when the election time comes, and if you are to talk about any candidate of UPC, we always first think of Titia Kamure, because he is one person who stood very firm, and he never changed, and he really did his part when it comes to promotion of the party in the region. So I think we as a nation, we are going to lose somebody who is great and somebody who did his part maybe in terms of shaping the politics of this region. Thank you.
True. Okay, let's move away from that. We say may his soul rest in eternal peace, and we'll be following up on those stories and bringing you updates in the subsequent news bulletins and also discussions that we'll be having on the KOKOLIRIKO. So let's move to the positive side. During the recent by-elections, remember yesterday Hoima had by-elections conducted amidst a lot of challenges of rain, where there were delays, and voter turnout was witnessed to be very, very minimal, very low, because of the issues of fearing the rain. Remember, Ugandans fear rain more than any other thing, apart from even the guns, even the tear gas and so on. People can wash their face and so on, run around, but rain, people fail to come. And that's why the voter turnout was so low. And also talk about the election results. This Othman Mugisha Mubarak won the election by elections, where his father was involved in an accident. The father died in July, around July, or yes, it should be July. June to July, around there. So when he died, and this called for a by-election, and the son had to come in to also contest. We've seen several sons, or talk about children of the deceased persons, winning elections through the NRM tickets. Maybe Faris, what do you make of this in terms of the kind of politics we have in this country? Somebody maybe who was doing a different thing, did not have interest in politics, because after the demise of the father, maybe comes in and just wins like that. What do you mean? What do you take from that?
It is really becoming a great concern in this region, because at the end of the day, it is going to put off people who will be capable of taking these positions, just because we are now ring-fencing these positions for family members. Why am I saying this? It is the issue of ring-fencing these positions now that we should be talking about. Because if you look at all the by-elections that have occurred in this country for the last 10 by-elections that we have witnessed, and where family members have stood, you realize that 90% have been taken up by these family members. Maybe except one. There's one exception. There is exception of one where we did see a family member, yes, a son losing. I think that is the only one we can talk about. But most of them have actually been taken by the family members. If you have to look at way back when Serena Nebanda lost, and the sister had to come. And that is where I think the genesis of all this began, and you can really tell it is something that the nation has really kept on doing, because when the nation lost her, the sister came in and people actually gave the sister, and up to now I think she's still the member of parliament that side. So I think it is really becoming an issue that if we continue to be doing this, Frederick, what does it mean? It means that people are going to be ring-fencing such positions, and what does it mean? If we continue to accept this, why is this becoming a common practice? Because sometimes it is because of sympathy that people want to exhibit, but it is really becoming a concern, because once somebody is lost, Frederick, you remember when we just lost the minister here, Sam Ngola? Before the burial, actually, people had already started preparations of who is going to succeed him. People were already negotiating, but before even the burial, before the man being laid to rest, people had already started the issues of campaigns on who would actually be elected to succeed him. So I think that issue is one that the nation needs to look up into at the end of the day, because it is going to put off people who will be capable. It is going to put out the right people off, because we are bringing in family members who may not be able to talk, because we have seen it happening. Because the other time, I will not mention names, we had a member of parliament whom we lost. The son came in, and the son didn't deliver, because the son didn't understand the dynamics of the politics. We just voted him to go to parliament, not necessarily understanding what he or she actually would be facing in parliament. So I think we need to address that issue, because it is going to put off the right people off, and the people who are going to be bringing in may not be, because Frederick, if my son understands politics, it will not mean that automatically I will be understanding politics. I will be understanding what is happening. It does not mean like that, because me, I may be coming from a different field, but I'm forced by family members. Maybe I'm also forced by the juicy position that I need to take up, but not necessarily minding of service delivery, because at the end of the day, I'll be coming not understanding what is on ground, what is on ground, what is happening. At the end of the day, the kind of service I'm going to put out will not be the best and expected. Maybe if somebody who would be elected genuinely would put out, because at the end of the day, I'll be coming with my own issues, with my own views, with my own understandings, with my own desires, with my own policies. which may not be right. So I think that issue of ring fencing positions for family members is one that needs to be addressed, that also wants to be looked into, because at the end of the day, we are bringing family members at times who do not even get time to talk in Parliament. We have seen them, how they have come in on service delivery. In most cases, they actually fail to retain these positions. Why am I saying this? They actually fail to retain in the next elections. We have seen them losing. Why is that a challenge? Because they're not delivering, because they're not understanding the dynamics of the politics. So I think this is one issue that we need to look out when it comes to the issues of the by-elections. But to him, we want to congratulate him for taking up this position, and we expect him to be doing much, because we believe he is going to set a different precedent, and maybe for other candidates who will be able to come up in the by-elections, at the end of the day, we shall be also seeing them improving and maybe copying a leaf from them, because at the end of the day, what the people expect is service delivery. But nonetheless, I want to congratulate him for winning the seat, and really, I want to congratulate him. And I thank the people of Hoima. Maybe they have decided that he's the best, and really, we expect him to be doing what is expected of.
Okay, that is the Hoima by-election results, and also we say, as Westnile TV, congratulations to NRM for the first time. The 90% that you rated might be the truth, okay? Because we have seen a majority of these by-elections being won by NRM. So that means a lot, and let's also really look at the issues of capacity versus sympathy. What does this bring about service delivery? That's one thing we'll really pick from that. If we cannot address the issues of service delivery, we will continue to praise those, maybe the political parties can celebrate, but the local person who voted will not celebrate, because the service may not be really the one that we demand. And also, as political parties, when we are fronting these candidates, let's front candidates that will not assume us in case ours succeed. I mean ours, meaning if your party is NRM, if your party is FDC, if your party is UPC, if your party is ANT, if your party is, I know many of them will be coming, so they will be there. So as you are choosing your candidates, this will be really people who are capable of delivering services, not people who can talk but they cannot act. Those are the words that I will maybe use to wind up the discussion around politics. Let's move to the issues of people not documenting businesses, people not really having good records. That is said to be frustrating the tax collection in this country. This has really affected a lot. Faris, you have so many informal businesses that are run by so many people, because people feel like self-employment is only in business. And if you go to business, there's no way you should be forced to put documents, to maybe collect receipts and keep them there and notify or note some of these things on your books or computers, or talk about your phones and so on. People take this like something that is not really serious. But when it comes to taxation, when they are doing assessments, until you don't have records, it is hard to assess these people. And URA has said they are losing a lot of taxes through this. Maybe what do you think could be done around this to really make sure people comply with some of these things, and also really do a lot?
Filing records sometimes, Frederick, it is not necessarily that the people have refused to do so. But at times, Frederick, you know, our business community, most of these people do not know how to write and would not know how to read and write. And at times, they also do not have the time maybe to do some of the write-ups. But when it comes to the issue in this region, Frederick, we have attended so many engagements by URA. They have actually come out to clearly notify that some of the people do not know how to write. They had a scenario of a woman who did not know how to write but was willing and to comply in terms of filing returns and keeping records. So I think that issue is one that is also lacking, and these people actually could not also employ people to do the write-ups for them, because at the end of the day, these people whom they employ also have been cheating them. So I think URA needed to devise other means in terms of keeping the records, because this is a region where we are seeing so many women and so many men who do not know, who are involved in business but they do not know how to read and write. Why am I saying this? We have seen it happening. Even if you move to Chikubo, where in Kampala, where so many people are doing business, most of them do not know how to read and write, but they are doing business and they have the money. But
they have even millions.
Yes, they have millions.
Yes.
And actually they do not know how to file their records. That does not only stop there. They also do not know how to file their returns. They do not know exactly what to do, and they will always want to come to pay URA. What URA puts on them, not necessarily actually paying what they're supposed to be paying. Because at the end of the day, we have seen this happening. We have seen so many complaints being raised. People are paying for money which they're not supposed to be paying, and sometimes they are cheated not because they are not because URA is supposed to do so, but the people have failed to keep records. So I think that is one issue that URA needs to look up into. And the masses, let the masses also be educated. We have seen them doing so to educate and sensitize the masses when it comes to the issues of filing and keeping records, because at the end of the day, Frederick, the records you will be assessed in terms of tax payment depending on what on your records of purchasing the products and records of sales. So I think that is where the URA estimates in terms of issues of taxing the masses. So I think if the masses do not embrace the issues of keeping records, and what records are we talking about here? We may be talking about keeping records, and when actually they do not know what records they're supposed to be keeping. The records of the products you're purchasing, the records of the utility, what you use at your workplace is very much key, important. So I think they also need to keep up with that. And what you sell, the products you are selling, they will look at the profits that you're making, and that is how they will assess the amount of money you're supposed to be paying at the end of the day. So I think the people needed to come out and clearly explain to these people what they're supposed to be doing, but you have seen them doing quite so. What is remaining is for the business community to understand and accept some of the things, and if they are to do so, maybe for those who are illiterate, because we have seen illiteracy contributing to this factor here, or people not keeping their records. So I think they should also employ people who may not be very much educated, but who can keep for them the records, because at the end of the day, it is really going to help them. Because if you're not keeping records, you'll be charged more. You may be overcharged, yet actually the money which you could be overcharged, you could use it for employing somebody who will be able to keep for the records. So I think we need to do that, and if we embrace that, at the end of the day, maybe we shall see a reduction in terms of the tax payments that we are complaining of, because the business community have always been complaining of heavy taxes levied on them, and maybe what if you have been overcharged, maybe because you did not keep proper records. So at the end of the day, if we are supposed to be seeing a reduction in these issues of tax payments, we should embrace the issues of keeping records and filing returns. It should not only stop there. We should also do the other things, because at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, it's our mandate as citizens to pay taxes. We have to pay taxes. It is our obligation as a nation to raise money, because at the end of the day, it is our money that we shall be also getting back in terms of service delivery. If you talk about the roads, the money does not come from anywhere. It comes from our taxes. If you have to look at the schools that we are complaining of, if you are to see an improvement in them, it is supposed to be from the money that we are paying. If you move the health facilities, if you talk about the drugs, it is all from the money which we are paying as taxes. So let's embrace the issues of paying taxes. Let's take up the issue of filing returns and keeping records, because if we do not keep them, we shall be always complaining of the unfair assessment when it comes to the issues of paying taxes. At the end of the day, it is really going to impact on our businesses. So I think the issues of keeping records is very much important. If business community take it up, at the end of the day, we shall see. We shall also make the work of URA easy, I think, because it will be very easy for them to assess. So keeping records is very much important. If we take it up, at the end of the day, it will be to both our benefits. It will be to the benefit of the business owners and URA at large also, I think. By the way,
we have seen URA awarding people the best taxpayers, okay, the greatest taxpayers. This is just because of good record keeping. If you don't have records, you will not really understand how much you're paid, how much your expenses are, how much your incomes are, and so on. Those are the things URA use to assess you and also reward you accordingly, because you have been really contributing a lot in terms of these kind of things. I've seen these awards going now to regions, and within some few years to come, you will see this coming to districts. So that is one thing we need to impress. You may never know that whatever little tax you are paying might maybe bring for you a bigger reward that you'll be able to get. But also the issues of capacity building for these business persons is very, very paramount. We have gone to e-systems, okay, the electronic systems of paying taxes, there are also tax assessments and also registration of businesses. Can we really formalize all these systems? Talking about if we have upgraded to electronic systems, can we move to also the business persons and train them on how to use these things. You will realize that majority of the people now at least have smartphones. If not smart, but it is some phone that can really access internet. They have these phones. So if we can train these people and on how to use these things, on how to do them, it is easier. Most business persons do not trust the people they employ, just because of the fluctuation of fluctuations in businesses, in terms of income, in terms of the flow. So those are things we need to understand, and also really look at how to arrive at a common ground in order to realize taxes being paid, and also ensure that there is no leakage of taxes. If you look at the records from URA, quarterly in Westnile region, we lose like 1 billion Ugandan shillings that is uncollected, that goes through informal businesses, and the issues of tax evasion continue to also thrive in this region, because most of the business persons feel like paying taxes is a burden. Okay, it feels like paying taxes is a burden, and this has really continued to frustrate the efforts of Uganda Revenue Authority. But we have other entities that are responsible for formalizing these businesses. You have Uganda Registration Bureau, okay, the Uganda Registration Bureau, Standards Bureau, which is responsible for registering these small companies that we have that are trading here. And we have also the UBOs that is there to come and also do some of the things. But if you look at all this, it seems these entities are not really working together. We have others that have offices here in Arua, like URSB, but the rest are not here. So what don't you think can be lacking here? One of the things is, if businesses are not registered, it is hard for you to follow up on some of these taxpayers. You will not really follow them up, because they don't have any identity with you. How will you force them? Because people who have no registered businesses can easily shift anywhere their locations. So it is very hard for you to track them from your systems. The one thing that we need to employ is having a mass registration of businesses in these towns, in these trading centers, in order to realize those taxes collected. But also we have these local governments that are also coming in to collect taxes. You have some taxes that are collected by local governments, some taxes that are collected by URA. So these two entities also need to harmonize who is to do what at what time, in order for the taxpayers not to get tired of paying taxes. Because if you cannot differentiate what to pay where, people will feel like they are being cheated, and their businesses are not bringing for them any other change. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be also bringing you more other updates on some of the issues that are happening in this country, talking about the issue of local governments failing to utilize the fiscal development plans that they have drawn. There's a very serious statistics that are being released, and that has shown that we are doing badly in terms of implementation. Let's take a break.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region. Star TV with StarTimes Inside Technology. New TV innovation with an inbuilt decoder that connects you to both StarTimes antenna and satellite signal. With StarTimes Inside Global Star TV, you can enjoy over 300 local and international channels, 1 month StarTimes highest bouquet for free, automatic system update, more benefits, more affordable. StarTimes Inside Global Star TV is available in all StarTimes branches and dealers countrywide. StarTimes Inside, entertainment inbuilt.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
Okay, we are back with the discussions about the businesses that have been frustrated. Okay, the informal businesses that are frustrating taxation. I talked about earlier on about the issues of training the business persons to really understand what they needed to do, but also the entities that are responsible for registering businesses to really formalize whatever they need to do in order to pay taxes. Because if once a business is not registered, it is hard for URA to also tax such a business. That is one thing we really need to know. But also these local governments that are collecting also taxes, rent and so on, they need to also harmonize with URA. As URA is moving to formalize these businesses, they need to move with the local governments together in order to mobilize for more of these funds. And let's move away from that. Let's move to the issues to do with the failure by local governments to implement or enforce on the fiscal development plans. Remember the fiscal development plans of these local governments that are under the Ministry of Local Government, but also talk about the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development that are teaming up to really develop this country in terms of borders, in terms of other development strategies, in terms of also planning. These are very, very important in that. But you realize that most of these fiscal development plans that are being developed by the local governments have not been implemented, and there are several underlying factors that are behind this. You have the issues to do with funds. Okay, one of the issues is finances to enforce some of these fiscal plans. And if you talk about fiscal development plans, these are really key things that you always have to have in your plan before you do any construction, before you establish any other thing in some of these areas. That is one key thing we really all need to know. And remember the the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development actually declared the whole country as a planning zone that is supposed to be planned by these authorities. Talk about the local governments managing those areas, from sub-counties up to the districts, and also the ministries that are responsible for approving some of these things. In case they approve such a plan, the issues of structures come in. How do you establish the structures? Are they environmental friendly? Are they this? And those are things that really resolve the issues of solid waste management in the urban centers, and also the issues to do with talk about wetland encroachments and so on. The endangered areas that are supposed to be kept intact, these are monitored and also seen by the use of these fiscal development plans. And also, if you want to purchase land, you need to reconcile with the fiscal development plan if you really want to be safe before you are evicted or you are caught up by law, or your land is taken and your money goes into a waste. That is one thing we have really been able to see, and also from the law. And if you look at the statistics that have been released by the Auditor General from the Auditor General's report that is for 2015. This has been disseminated already. You realize that out of the whole country, you realize that only 20% of the land in this country is being planned. Okay, it's been planned by local governments. But out of the 20% that we have, you realize that not even half of these plans have been implemented, and those are the areas where we have problems. That's where we want to really understand why this is common. We had a chance to get a communication from the chairperson, National Fiscal Development Plan Board. That is the authority mandated to oversee the approval of these fiscal development plans and also look at the implementation or the enforcement of this. Let's move to listen to her and see what she has been able to cite. And one of the issues she was stretching was the issues to do with people who tend to frustrate local governments in enforcing this. One of the areas was the issues to do with people saying that I have so and so who is there, and they tend to intimidate some of the officers. And she warned seriously that if any of the persons is caught frustrating local governments in enforcing these kind of fiscal development plans, he or she will be taken behind bars. Let's take a look.
The big fish, please don't block anything. You are big, you are important, you are rich, but you must comply. Stop intimidating the enforcement officers, the city clerk's team, the fiscal planner, by telling them to leave your land, leave your illegal building. Please don't. Follow the law, follow the plan, however big you are. In fact, the bigger you are, the more you should comply. And lead by example. Whatever political rank, whatever political position you have, even if you are a general from where, please comply. Comply and do it in the interest of the public, of the future, not for you as an individual.
Okay, you have seen what is happening now, and you have heard from the horse's mouth that there are people who are sabotaging the efforts of the local governments in enforcing this kind of fiscal development plans. One of the things is, if a local government doesn't have a fiscal development plan, you will have these issues to do with solid waste management, where the waste, the garbage or the rubbish that we collect is to be managed. There will be no place that is allocated for this, and that is the fiscal development plan that directs this kind of activities to be taken place. But also talk about the issues of establishing where factories are established, where schools are supposed to be, where the cultural sites are to be, where the tourism sites, where the business center is supposed to be, residential houses, and so on. All these are the things that are supposed to feature in these fiscal development plans. I'm here still with Faris Mazid. Faris, what do you make of local governments really failing to enforce the fiscal development plans? And what do you think is the implication of this to the whole growth of these urban centers that we have in this country?
First of all, to plan and implement are two different things, Frederick. I may come up with a nice plan, but if not implemented, that is where the challenge is coming from. And to the local governments who have failed to really embrace and take up the physical planning aspects of it also, it is going to affect us. Frederick, why am I saying this? It will cost us. Why am I saying this? It will cost us because at the end of the day, what we shall be seeing out there may not be the right thing, because we as a city, if not planned well, we are bound to be having slums, and this is going to affect everybody, Frederick. And the issues of these local governments not planning will also affect the local person, because at the end of the day, it is the local person who will be able to be affected, caught up by these different issues. Frederick, just the other time we are talking about this same issue, if you do not seek for help from these planners, Frederick, you will really be able to also suffer from these repercussions. The other time we are talking about people in Dadamu who are selling their land because they have realized that road has fallen on their land and they are selling out this land, Frederick. It is happening it was quite witnessed in Dadamu. One of the leaders actually raised it. one issue that resorted to rampant selling of their land in these areas has actually been attributed to the issues of the roads and other programs that have been earmarked on this one before the implementation. These who have opted to sell their land. So if you have to be able to also fall in that trap, so I think at the end of the day, that is how bad and how dangerous it will affect you. So I think to the masses, let us also embrace these issues of physical planning. If we do not embrace it, we are bound to be seeing what we call the slums in this city. So the local governments, let's embrace it, because planning is very much key. Because if it is planned well, we shall not be having issues of other aspects that may not be good. Talking about poor garbage disposal that is still very much affecting, and you know flooding, Frederick, you know flooding, how it is affecting Kampala. It is because of the issues of poor planning. So to Arua City and other local governments who have failed to adopt this, if we do not plan now, it will cost us in the nearby future. It will cost our children. It will cost our great-grandchildren who would come up and find these cities. So I think this is timely. We need to embrace it. The local governments, let us give support. Let us adopt the issues of physical planning, because at the end of the day, it will cost all of us. I was talking about the issue of people selling their land because they have realized that the road has fallen on their land now. They are selling it. And if you're not a person who thinks of planning, definitely it is going to catch up with you, because at the end of it, it will be you to lose out money. So I think just like you, the people who are going to fall in traps of people who are selling their land due to the roads that have fallen on their land, if we do not plan, we are bound to be seeing issues and cases of buildings collapsing, and that is one result of failure to plan. Because you're going to you're going to put up a structure that is not supposed to be where it is. Because before, if you sought for the advice of physical planners, they will really advise you on what kind of buildings to put. But if you just have issues and maybe you come up with your quack engineers and you start putting up structures, really we shall be also seeing issues of buildings collapsing. And that may not be good. So I think the issues of physical planning needs to be adopted and embraced in this region. At the end of the day, it will be to our benefit all. So, and to the local governments, sabotaging this project of physical planning, really it is quite dangerous. It's quite shocking, because we expect you to be offering support to these relevant stakeholders, such that we see an improvement and we see our cities being where we want them to be, and so that at the end of the day it will make us proud all. To the local governments, let us give support and ensure that we ensure physical planning is taken up in this region.
Okay, if you talk about implementation, this comes to all the stakeholders. Talk about you as Farish Majid, the media person. Yes. You have a role to play by disseminating this kind of information to the public, that taking a physical development plan a priority in ensuring development is achieved is one of the things that will really make our towns, our urban centers very organized and really look beautiful. Talk about the impacts of climate change. If you move to Namamve now, when it rains, you have a lot of floods and so on, and that's why you were seeing gullies on some of these roads, and these gullies are as a result of climate change. When a road has maybe had potholes, and every time water is flowing on these roads, every time, because maybe some of the waterways are blocked, or even they are all with the road on a low land. That is the impact that will be always having. And when there's flooding in towns, and you see how disorganized it is, it attracts a lot of issues to do with health hazards. And also talk about sewage management. If you are in unplanned cities or unplanned districts and so on, you realize that industrial zones are not catered for. Talk about the establishment of one of the factories just in Ajia here, where it is established amidst the communities, and people are feeling the impact. And that's the problem of not really catering for the physical development plan. It is very, very important that we take up some of these things seriously. But also those termed to be big wigs, okay? The wigs that are said by the chairperson, National Physical Development Plan Board, who actually said there are people who term themselves to be the big wigs. There are others who term themselves to be the small wigs, who can sneak easily, who pretend to be saying they have godfathers, and we have military person who is there. I'm an army officer. I threaten these physical planners who want to really enforce or really put some of the things right, those are people who will be really fined and or taken to jail because of their actions. And I wish those kind of laws are enforced seriously. If you come to a rural city, the town center, parking places are no longer there. People park on the roads just because there were no provisions for parking for people who want to really access services. Talk about the banking services, talk about the supermarkets that we have along these lanes. It is hard for people really to park their vehicles, and in case they park, they decongest the roads, and that is one thing that is coming from the failure to enforce on some of these physical development plans. If we talk about, first of all, favoring our communities other than really talking about the realities that exist, it will be unfortunate. Even in your home, if you cannot plan the small piece of land that you have, you always have issues to do with the management of this land, because somebody who has a quarter of land who plans it well will be able to get more money than the person who has 1 acre and has not planned it well. That is one thing we need to look at. In simple terms, it is like that. But also, if you want to buy land, this is one caution. You want to buy land, you need to reconcile with the physical planners and see what other services are moving there. And now, one of the issues that has been cited in the enforcement of physical development plan is if you are buying in a land where there is no road leading to that place, that land will not be granted a title. 2, if you are establishing structures in your wetland and so on, you will just be arrested, because even if you have the titles, right now a decision has been reached, you will be arrested and taken behind bars, even if it is a valid title, because the issues of encroachments onto protected areas, endangered species, talk about the forests and also the water, the rivers and the wetlands, the swamps and so on that we have, has had really high, a very harsh impact on the climate and also the people itself. And that's why we're experiencing bad weather throughout the year. And that's why this decision has been reached. If you have that and you're still resisting with your documents, that you have your documents, nobody is going to listen to you, and that's what is being pronounced clearly here. Maybe Faris, yes.
We have seen people continuing to take advantage of the wetlands. We are talking about several factories that we have seen people establishing on wetlands. What does this mean for a nation? That maybe we are talking about the issues of climate change, but what we are doing is contrary. I told you we have just seen a number of people putting up structures on where they're supposed to be putting up. So I think it goes back to us, just like you said, it involves all of us, all the stakeholders, to see to it that we put a campaign maybe to end the issues of people encroaching some of these wetlands that we are seeing. Because we have seen, Frederick, we have seen people putting up factories on wetlands. We have seen that. It's not shocking. We have seen it. You know it. Yeah, so I think we need to do something when it comes to these issues of physical planning. Because at the end of the day, if we do not plan, just like I said, it may not have an impact now, but it will have an impact on the next generation to come. You see, what is happening in Kampala when it rains is not what the physical planners that are there have done, but it is those that left the office whose repercussions are now affecting the masses today. You can tell whenever it rains, you have really seen how sewage is coming on board, on the road, on the waters are flowing on the streets. It really makes the city becoming impassable. So I think if we could do something, and today's city planners, Arua is still, the Arua and the new cities that are still there in place, I think they still have something that they can do, maybe to avoid what is happening in Kampala in the nearby future. They still have time, and what we can do as stakeholders is give the physical planners the support that they need now, such that at the end of the day, in the nearby future, in the next 20 or 30 years to come, their impacts or the impacts of the activities that they're currently doing right now may not be able to result like how it is resulting in Kampala. So I think we need to give the support, and to the local governments, let us embrace this issue of physical planning. Because if we do not plan, Frederick, I'm telling you, and the viewer out there, it will all cost us. If it does not cost you, your children, your great-grandchildren will be at the spotlight of suffering from your repercussions of your activities now. So I think we need to do something when it comes to the issues of physical planning, to see to it that we adopt it and we embrace it in good faith, because at the end of the day, it will really help us. Frederick, if you have to look at the issues of people not planning. We have seen them crying. Sometimes people buy land, just like I said, people buy land where there are so many wrangles, and that is all because of the issues of failure to plan. And people are buying land, and you see after a short period of time, the person also wants to sell because he or she has realized that there is a road where he's supposed to put up a structure. So I think the issues of planning, we all need to embrace it, because at the end of the day, it will be to our benefit.
Yeah, if you look at that issue of people buying land where there is confusion and so on, this could be reconciled when you are able to approach these fiscal planners, because at the end of the day, they are the very persons who go on ground and with the fiscal with the land boards who go on ground to approve your plan. Okay, the first person who bought it might have issues, and when you buy it now, if you are able to check from the city or the district or the municipal fiscal planning unit, you'll be able to understand some of those things before your money goes into a waste. Let's maybe put the discussions around fiscal development plan on close around this area. First of all, Faris, I want to appreciate you for ably elaborating on this. This is one thing that has continued to affect everyone, not the local governments alone, but also the individuals. You as a person, from your home, if you have not planned well, you will always face challenges in achieving your dreams. That is one thing that local governments are also going through, and you should understand that if we are not cooperating in this kind of things, we will not achieve them. If you look at the recent statistics that was released actually yesterday in a Arua City Council Hall by the fiscal, the commissioner who represented the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, he actually clearly explained that out of the 15 regional cities that were created, there are only 3 that have had their fiscal development plans approved. Talk about Jinja, which received their fiscal development plan first, followed by Gulu City, and now Arua City. But the rest of the 12 regional cities do not have fiscal development plans, and they have existed for 3 years. So what are they doing there? What kind of transactions are going on? How are people really developing those kind of cities? Those are the questions we have continued to ask ourselves, and we continue to see what is happening around these areas. And also now, if you talk about them, that means without having the fiscal development plan, they might be using the fiscal development plans of the municipalities that have actually expired. So that brings about the legalities of whatever they are doing currently, and also the need to really fast track the approval of this kind of fiscal development plan in case they have been able to develop them. Because developing a fiscal development plan is one thing that needs a lot of money injected. Because if you talk about these ones of Arua City and Gulu, they were done with the help of partners. So if you don't have partners that are able to venture into these kind of things, you always have those kind of challenges. So let's move away from that and bring in the issue of Micho, who is the head coach of Uganda Cranes, who has been sacked. Maybe Faris, you received this news this morning. What does this mean to the Ugandan football? We have seen so many of these coaches who come and they cannot even take Uganda to the finals of AFCON. Okay, the only game that at least Uganda could sign in, apart from the World Cup, they have not taken us far. What do you take from this? Looking at the politics around the football that we have in this country, where players who are not really playing within the country, whose track records are not seen by the local persons, and also who have not been able to fit with the players that are local here within this country. I'm talking about those who have gone to look for greener pastures in other countries. You realize that they have slots automatically. They are always there on the board. You see them coming when people, okay, the other players who were intentionally here recruited have already pushed the country to another level. What do you make of this kind of leadership that we have in our football?
I'm not surprised about the sacking of Mitchell. Why am I saying this? Actually, to me, he would have been sacked yesterday. Why am I saying this? Frederick, this is the second time this man is coming back to Uganda Cranes as a head coach. But during this time, I think he has failed, and we also need to accept that he has failed. But he has these great contributions that he did. He actually took Uganda back to the AFCON competitions. This is his tremendous activity that maybe we shall be able to recommend him for. He took Uganda back, and when he came back, you know, this is the second time he's been sacked, I think, if I'm not mistaken. The first time he was sacked, he went to Egypt, and I think, but still, during this stint here, we have seen Uganda Cranes not performing. We've not seen the boys performing. Frederick, football is one of the areas that maybe we need to look into, but we have seen a lot of challenges, and most of the coaches who have left, actually, have come up with similar accusations and similar complaints. So I think there's something that maybe could be, that could have sabotaged these activities at Uganda Cranes. So I think him being sacked, I think, to me, we have seen it happening here. He took Uganda back. After actually him leaving for the first time, we embraced Ugandan coaches who have also failed. So I think all these coaches have something, maybe as PUFA, that there's something that we need to look up to. Maybe it could not be the coach, but it could be something in the system that maybe we need to look out for, so that we see to it that maybe the AFCON that we want to go for, we need to go back to and play at and compete at, is something that maybe is apt. Because he did his part, we cannot underscore that. He contributed greatly to see to it that Uganda returned back to AFCON after a long period of time. So I think we need to give him credit there. But during his stint, this time he has failed, and not because maybe it could not be because he failed as an individual, but maybe the system could have failed him. So I think the whistle time team, Owen Ezaga and Oraku Benson, together with Susie, will be able to expound more on this issue here. Let's leave it to the sports team to digest more on the whistle time. Maybe when it comes, they will be able to expand and understand and give the masses a clear understanding of where Mitchell failed as an individual, because him being sacked is an indication that he failed. Because once you're giving these responsibilities, there are certain things that they look out for. There are certain things that they include on your contract. So I think he must have failed somewhere, and that is why the sacking is coming. But to me, it's not a surprise.
But just in a second,
yes.
What do you understand from the politics of football that we have in this country? We have seen so many names that have continued to feature. Talk about players who have been maybe there for over the years. We are all aware that many young talents continue to be groomed in this country, but they have not been utilized in the national squad. What do you think could be happening around
Frederick,
this?
I'm a believer that this nation has a lot of talents. I'm a believer, I strongly believe that Uganda has all the potentials it takes to take us to the World Cup. But where the challenge is that at times we do not utilize whom we are supposed to be using. So I think that is a challenge, and maybe if we cleaned up the system, at the end of the day it will be to our benefit. I will say this, maybe if we do not address that issue that is there, we need to understand what the issue is. Because if we do not understand that issue there, and then we are going to be talking more of this, and if we do not understand the genesis of what is happening there, at the end of the day it will cost us as a nation, and we shall not be able to see some of the dreams that maybe we wanted to see. But I'm a believer that Uganda has the potential to play at AFCON, at different AFCON level, AFCON competitions, because if we are to select the right people, maybe at the end of the day, because we have seen the coaches complaining, we have had the coaches, we have really had them complaining on some people doing their jobs. So I think we need to come and have that issue addressed. Maybe if we give the relevant people the support they need, at the end of the day as a nation, we shall be able to prosper at the different levels of soccer in this nation.
Right, that is it about Mitchell. I remember he took from Jonathan McKinstry before he was now sacked this morning. This breaking news came this morning, and we felt our lovers of KOKOLIRIKO so to be able to also understand what is going in the football wing. Much as we talk about other issues, we want to also bring for you this, which is a big story in the country. Remember, there were a number of issues sometimes back about the release. When the national team releases the team that they are going to travel with for games like that, a number of discussions have been about the criteria used to select these players, but also Many times, particularly in Westnile region, people have complained about why their players are not featuring in most of these national teams and also the leagues that they are participating in. This is also one concern that is coming from other regions. Most times the players come from the central region or the western region, and this is something really people have been complaining about. And also coaches coming out to say that the role of really supporting these players has been taken by some of the people within the executive. So that is one thing we really need to iron out if we want this country to progress in terms of the talents from the foot. Okay, that is the football wing. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be able to move to other issues that we have on the table to be broken for you. Thank you.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
A brand new Global Star TV with StarTimes Inside Technology. New TV innovation with an inbuilt decoder that connects you to both StarTimes antenna and satellite signal. With StarTimes Inside Global Star TV, you can enjoy over 300 local and international channels, 1 month StarTimes highest bouquet for free, automatic system update, more benefits, more affordable. StarTimes Inside Global Star TV is available in all StarTimes branches and dealers countrywide. StarTimes Inside, entertainment inbuilt.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region. Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
A brand new Global Star TV with StarTimes Inside Technology. New TV innovation with an inbuilt decoder that connects you to both StarTimes antenna and satellite signal. With StarTimes Inside Global Star TV, you can enjoy over 300 local and international channels, 1 month StarTimes highest bouquet for free, automatic system update, more benefits, more affordable. StarTimes Inside Global Star TV is available in all StarTimes branches and dealers countrywide. StarTimes Inside, entertainment inbuilt.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
Ele aronera. From that commercial break, I told you earlier on that there are so many stories that we'll be able to analyze for you in this hour of the show. And this is the last segment that we're able to bring for you a lot of the national stories and also those other stories that are still around the areas of the continent. Okay, there's a lot to do with Muni University. The Vice Chancellor who has been in the interim basis has been appointed. That is Simon Ankuma Katrini, who was there in the interim basis after the demise of the professor that by then Christine Dransoa, may her soul rest in eternal peace. And this Vice Chancellor now will be installed soonest, and so that is one thing we want to really tell you right now. And if you talk about Simon Ankuma Katrini, he has really done a lot in terms of improving the techno-science that he has been preaching in Muni University, and within this interim basis he has done a lot of innovations and really took the engineering department of the university, the lab that was established at the university, and talk about a lot of summits that have been organized in memory of the deceased professor by then, who was Christine Dransoa, may her soul rest in eternal peace. And if you talk about Katrini himself, is a person who loves being with the community, who loves being community-centered and shares more of those ideas from the university. We have seen him in very many public appearances talking about the performance of the people in this region. And remember, he was one of the persons who was perturbed by the low enrollment of people or students within Westnile region at the university. This he said he wants to sort to soonest, and this is one of the strategies he's using to bring back the people to join the university. And if you talk about Katrini, is a person who comes from Terego district, and is one person who has a lot of bachelor's degrees in so many areas. Talk about a lot of them. The list is long. I could not read so many of them. But if you talk about him in person, he has really brought out another architectural work that will be there to cater for the hostel for the university students. And if you talk about the accommodation itself in the university that he's championing to bring, it is like a storage building. Two of them, that one will be for the female wing and the other one will be for the males. And this is coming out because the communities around Muni University have failed to accommodate all these learners based on the enrollment that the university already has. And that is one thing that we want to bring for you here this morning. And if you are interested in following up that story, you should be able to follow it up with other media platforms that will be able to read more of the details that are flowing there. And this is in line with the constitution of the Republic of the country, and this is Uganda, and it will be this from this point that the president or the vice president shall be responsible of installing him, and that is when we'll be able to get this kind of information. The installation and all those other developments, we'll be able to break them here on Westnile Television, the KOKOLIRIKO show at end of the morning. So keep watching, and keep also really following this show from every Monday to Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. and that's where you'll be able to get these surprising stories and also things that are happening in this region and so on and so on. And let's move away from that. You'll realize that the issues to do with the schools for these children, the babies that we have, a lot of actual government and UN agencies have actually created 11 baby friendly hospitals, and this is one story that is very, very important for us, that we should be able to interest ourselves. And if you talk about these hospitals, these facilities that are able to cater for the needs of the children, the babies that we have, talk about the neonatal care that they provide, and if you talk about this country itself, we have Arua Regional Referral Hospital, we have Mengo Hospital, we have Mulago Hospital, and many others that have been highlighted here. Those are the facilities that can really cater for your baby's need. In case it is a premature baby that has been born, those that is where the baby is able to survive. And earlier on, I've been telling you that if you take government facilities, they are up to the standard. But the problem most times we have with these facilities is people not really understanding what they need to do in order to access these services. But also sometimes people have negative mindset that when we go to these facilities, we will not have these services available. And that is one thing that is really frustrating the efforts of government fighting the maternal child deaths, and we really need to impress this. I earlier on told you that if you want to have the rightful diagnosis, go to a government facility. That's where you'll be getting the best diagnosis being done. And also, if you want maybe to have the best drugs prescribed, the rightful doses, the rightful case detections and analysis, go to the government lab. That's where you get authentic results, and that is where you'll be able to get those. And for you who has gone there and who has been able to get some of the facility services that are prescribed for you, and they tell you to go to private facilities, there's already an information that is written on your in your book that you will only give to these private facilities that will be able to give you the rightful drugs that have been prescribed in the diagnosis, and or the test results that have come out. And if you use those kind of things, you'll be able to really get the rightful treatment. Other than really when you feel like you are not doing well, you rush to a private facility because you feel like the drug is immediate that you'll be able to get. You must be aware that these private facilities are up to profit making, and somebody who is making profits can easily give you a drug that is not really worth the disease that you are supposed to be getting treated from. And it is only from government facilities that you'll be able to get the rightful doses, the rightful drugs that will not have a bad impact on your health. That is one thing that I wanted to put on this. But talking about the issues of baby-friendly hospitals, the hospitals are able to provide the care for the children, the babies that are born. And if we talk about the newborns, it is not easy to handle the newborns. First of all, this baby will not be able to tell you what he or she is feeling like, okay? The pain he's going through. But we have these government facilities that understand what a newly born child feels like, and what kind of complications comes with the delivery, what kind of treatments they need. And that's where you are able to get these kind of services. And that's why I was stressing further that in any event that you are not feeling well, and even your child, the newborn baby, is not feeling well, or your wife wants to deliver, take her to a government facility for better management, and that's where the credit is coming from. So if UN agencies are able to credit these facilities, there is need for us to appreciate what government is doing around this country in terms of eradicating diseases and also fighting for the life of the people. And that means we are achieving some of the strategic goals that we signed in the UN conventions, and where we said by 2040 we should be able to have disease-free society, poverty-free society, employment all over, whether self, whether maybe by other organizations, whether by government. It should be there, and we should be able to also eradicate the illiteracy. Those are the things that are enshrined in that convention, and where Uganda is one of the signatories. And those are things we need to really do and also really appreciate government for. But also now it comes back to us, the people who seek for services from these kind of accredited facilities. Talk about the attitude that we have. There are so many communities that are still hesitant of taking their wives to deliver in health facilities, to taking their children for nutritional services at health facilities, or also talk about immunization, which is very paramount for the newborn, and not really taking them to these services. It means we are depriving them of their rights for rights to better medical care, which is against the laws of this country, and we should be really responsible for those kind of things. If you have failed to take your children to attend to some of these kind of services, you should be imprisoned, because the laws of this country are clear. Much as the implementation is slow, you should be aware that there's a law that is against those kind of practices. These issues of traditional birth attendance, really we need to undervalue them. We need to really take the children to the medical facilities that are given there. The services are free of charge from government facilities. If there are some people who are charging for these services, you should be able to report, because these are services that you have already paid for in terms of taxes, in terms of you contributing land. Remember, most of these government facilities started on land that were donated by people. So we should be able to have the benefit of these kind of things before really we go to the private facilities. As we go to the private facilities, we should be referred by these government professional workers. These professional workers, if they are the ones who established these private facilities, that tendency of referring people all the time to your facility should be really checked by the administrators, because there are some people who just refer people because they want to create the business. Okay, they want to create the business, yet people could really access services from these health facilities. Those are things we really need to look into if you want to have a better society to live in, and also have really the population maintained or increasing, other than really having a diseased population, which does not really bring a lot of development to the country, because a lot of money will be injected in terms of preventing, actually in terms of curating, making people really come out of diseases. That is really unfortunate. If you can avert this from the preventive side, it is very, very important, and also that will really bring pride on this nation. Remember, we're fighting to be at the middle income status, where at least every person is able to get that $1, which is an equivalent of only 3,700 something thousand Ugandan shillings. So if on daily basis you are able to get that money, 3,700 something Ugandan shillings, that is when you will be declared somebody who is wealthy. Okay, you qualify to be on the wealthy status list. So you are the people who are making the country grow very fast. So you should congratulate yourself. And now, if you are not really reaching that percentage, and you are always on loans, you are always on borrowings, you are always maybe on debts, that is one challenge that will really keep the country limping below the middle income status, and that makes it very unfortunate. That marks it the end of the Friday edition of the KOKOLIRIKO show and the concluding edition for this week for the KOKOLIRIKO live on Westnile television. My name is Frederick Dramadri. Up next we'll be bringing the vibes from the Logorati news from that team led by Feta Emmanuel, who will be coming here to break for you stories of the week, our stories that have happened throughout last day and what is happening currently in this region or the nation in the language that is most preferably the Logorati. And we are doing this to really reach the common man. That's our terminology, is to reach the common man and really making him understand what the gaps are there, and also how he or she is able to relate with the service, maybe people who are able to deliver the services. That is one thing we are fostering up to. Lighten up the region. I'm out of the studios.